At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger, Weather NorCal. You're watching Coffee with Krueger every weekday morning at 7 a.m. So glad you could join us this morning. We got some of our regulars checking in this morning, such as Chappie saying, good morning, everyone. A bit windy out here, and it certainly has been. Now, it's been a little gusty in parts of the valley, especially east of the valley in the foothills. We've been looking at some pretty gusty winds there. Saw in the Jarbo Gap area. That is in eastern Butte County. That is where we saw a gust over 60, 66 miles per hour. Now, there were some power outages out in the Paradise area last night because of those gusty winds, and I do expect some gusty winds in that same area, mainly in the foothills east of the valley here through the day today, tonight, and even into parts of tomorrow. This is where I expect some of the strongest winds. We're seeing some breezy, borderline windy conditions for some of us in the valley here this morning, but I do expect overall the winds to slowly subside over the next 24 to 48 hours. So that's something, of course, we can look forward to as we kind of extend on to the next couple of days. But overall, the pattern is looking dry, folks. And if you're a little concerned about the fact that it's going to stay dry for a while, you certainly have some validation to some of that concern. However, we're still doing okay when it comes to the lake levels, when it comes to the snowpack. Things are doing okay at that point. Let's get you right to the forecast here, taking a look at Krueger's Quickcast here for this Monday, January 13th. Again, for those of you that are new to Weather NorCal, know that Krueger's Quickcast is just kind of a quick look at the forecast for those of you that are in a hurry and don't have a whole lot of time to go into the deeper dive forecast. This is, of course, tailored perfectly just for you. So let's take a look at some of those temperatures out there right now. With the winds blowing, especially on the north and west side of the valley, we're at 50 degrees out at the Redding Airport. Sheltered by the winds a little bit in Chico, you're at 36 degrees. Otherwise, mid to upper 40s for the rest of us in the valley. Teens, 20s for the higher elevations this morning. Eureka, 33 degrees. Pretty cold there, but not as bad out in Crescent City at about 47 degrees right now. All right, let's get you out the door for this Monday, January 13th. Chilly start to the day, especially in the mountains. Even at 8 o'clock this morning in the 20s. Low to mid 40s in the valley and even along the north coast. Temperatures upper 30s. There is a beach hazard statement through Wednesday until 3 p.m. So if you are spending some time on the beach here, don't turn your back to the ocean. Watch those kids very closely. Sneaker waves, those are going to be the biggest concern here over the next couple of days. Now, looking at the big picture, we do have a couple of passing high clouds will be coming in here later today, but overall high pressure seems to be that dominant feature. Now, there is a disturbance that has been moving through last night and this morning, giving us the gusty winds. That disturbance is pushing southward and will keep those winds a little gusty, especially, again, mainly east of the valley. But that will also contribute to some of the gusty winds that they'll unfortunately see down in Southern California. Look at the wind gusts out there here in the last hour. You can see, again, see where the strongest winds are. You see how they're mainly east of the valley, the foothills, some of those mountain ridge tops, even some of those mountain valleys. We are seeing some very strong winds in there. The oranges and reds, that's 40 to even over 50 miles per hour. And we certainly did see that last night in some of those areas east of the valley. But even the valley seeing a little breezy, borderline windy conditions here as well at the current hour. Now, as we go through around midday today, look where the strongest winds are. Once again, mainly east of the valley, but still a bit breezy for parts of the valley with gusts possibly over 20 miles per hour. Later on this afternoon and evening, the wind's still a tad breezy for the valley, still breezy, borderline windy even for the foothills later tonight, but they should subside, but may pick back up again as we go into your Tuesday morning. All right, so here's what it looks like today. Temperatures right around 60 degrees for that daytime high in the valley. Obviously cooler in the mountains in the 30s and 40s for those daytime highs, and along the coast in the mid to upper 50s. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for starting off with the valley. If you're looking for change in our pattern, you're going to have to look elsewhere. It's not going to be here in Northern California, that's for sure. Temperatures in the low 60s for most of us in the valley here through at least Thursday, if not into Friday, and then a slight dip in our temperatures here as we take you into the weekend. The coast, inland, and Trinity County also seeing those temperatures pretty much remaining status quo. For the inland areas, low 60s to upper 50s, and then cooler going into the weekend. Let's take a look at Siskiyou, Modoc, and the Eastern Mountains, where we're actually seeing a little bit of a roller coaster ride. We're starting off the week cool. We warm up a little bit here for your Wednesday, Thursday, before we see another dip in our temperatures by Friday and through the weekend. All right, that's a look at Krueger's QuickCast. Let's take a look at some of the cameras out there, see what's going on. This is what it looks like out at Lake Oroville, and there you can see the spillway there. Looks a little wet, but overall, not much release coming out of there. Looking at Lake Oroville, North Forebay. Look at the winds. You can kind of see that orange flag, if you will, kind of blown a little bit out there in the wind, which means the lake is not going to be crystal clear and like glass because the wind is blowing over the lake, creating some ripples in the water there. There you can see Main Street Chico on Highway 32. Looks like traffic is flowing smoothly there. Doesn't look like the winds are too strong in Chico. That's also the case on Highway 99 at Neal Road. You don't really see the wind blowing that camera around, so it looks like fairly calm winds there as well. We take you out to Redding. Unfortunately, you can't see the movement on this camera because this is not a camera that's in motion, but you can see the latest image coming in at 7:06 about a minute ago on Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. And it looks like traffic is flowing smoothly there as well. Let's take a look right now at Elk Country in just north of Trinidad, turning out to be a gorgeous morning there as well. I also want to show you what it looks like on the coast there in Crescent City, looking absolutely gorgeous. You've got that moon off in the distance there. We've got some high clouds, which are kind of filtering through the area. Now I'm going to take you back to Elk Country, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm also going to show you the camera coming in from Sundial Bridge, from the Sundial Bridge that is. And looks like we've got some pretty nice looking image there as well. You've got the clear skies. If you look off over the trees there, we're not really seeing much in the way of wind out in the Redding area either. So not everyone this morning in the valley is experiencing these gusty winds, but there are some areas that are not sheltered from the winds that are seeing some of those gusty winds out there this morning. So that's kind of what we're looking at here this morning. So just kind of be aware of that. That it may be a bit breezy, borderline windy at times for some of us in the valley, and in particular for the foothills east of the valley, especially around the Jarrow Gap area and places like that, Paradise, Magalia, for example, as well. All right, what I'm going to do now, we're going to take a look at what some of you are saying and kind of checking in with some of you out there this morning. Let's kind of get that out of there. There we go. There we go. Yes, so we have got some people checking in this morning. We have got Curtis Brown from Red Bluff. He's checking in this morning and he's saying, good morning, Mike and everyone. Pretty windy all night, gusts to 25 miles per hour. So there you have. He's I believe, 7 miles west of Red Bluff. So in the west side of the valley where we are seeing some of those stronger winds. So Curtis, thank you for that report. We've also got Mark Olson saying, good morning, Mike and everyone. So good morning back to you. We've also got Kimberly Maliki saying, good morning, nice to see you're back. Yes, I am back from vacation, a well-deserved vacation, but now it's back to reality and back to work. But I feel refreshed. Things are great. I've got my coffee too. We've also got Susan Johnson saying, windy in North Redding. So again, when we're looking at the camera out at the Sundial Bridge, didn't look that bad at the wind, did it? But in North Redding, getting reports that it is windy out there. So thank you, Susan, for that report. We've also got Barry saying good morning. We also have Chrissy Bentley saying good morning, Mike. Windy in Upper Shingletown, 34 degrees. So there's probably a bit of a wind chill going on there as well, where it's probably feeling colder than that 34 degrees that you're seeing out there right now because of those gusty winds. We've also got Terry Womack saying a little windy on the bluffs. So yeah, so it looks like those of you that are experiencing the winds, you're certainly feeling it. You're probably hearing them howling off in the distance here. We've got saying lovely moon this morning, and absolutely it is. So thank you all so much for checking in. And okay, yes, I pronounced your name correctly. That's good. I'm glad I did. I hate it when I butcher people's names. It's sometimes easy to do. I'm notorious for that, actually. So there you go. Well, what do you say we get to it? And we've got our Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. And last week I had a chance to speak to someone new out at Turtle Bay, and Sharon wanted to give this person kind of an opportunity to kind of get some of their communication skills going. And we're going to learn more about a salamander, California tiger salamander, as a matter of fact. So check it out. Hello everyone, Mike Krueger, Weather NorCal. You're watching Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. With me right now, I have got Jaden from Turtle Bay, and we have kind of a unique animal that we have right here. What do we have here?
We do. Okay, so this is our California tiger salamander, and they are pretty unique because this guy right here, well, this species is specific to here in California and is actually endangered. Okay. So you can find these guys down in the valley, but not so much up here. Okay. And so the cool thing about them is that they can live in places where it's really hot, like here in the valley. Perfect. And what they do is that they go into, okay, ready for a big word? They go into estivation, which means that when it's nice and dry, they're going to go underground and they're going to wait until the monsoon season comes out. And then when all of these vernal pools, which are just like puddles that come about in the rain season, when they come out, these guys come out. So they're going to come out in the winter and get all the grubs they can until the sun comes back out, and then they're going back underground.
So I see what you're saying, like the monsoon. We don't get that. We get the monsoon here every once in a while. You're talking to a meteorologist here, right? But the monsoon does come here every once in a while, so I can see how it's more to the south, right? That they're going to have them, like the Bay Area, for example.
Exactly, yeah, all in that Central Valley. Okay. And they probably used to get up here, but their habitat's actually down about 50% of where they used to be. So you're going to see them more, down by the Bay Area, that Central Valley.
So you say there's an extinction problem going on here, correct? What is there anything being done to kind of help prevent that, or what? No, there isn't.
No, I don't think so.
So Sharon right now is looking at me like I'm just some kind of crazy man asking that kind of question. So there you go. All right. Yep. So. But we do have an extinction problem here.
Yes.
How did we go about getting one here at Turtle Bay?
Yeah, so this guy actually comes from Sonoma State. They're part of a research project that ended up ending. And so they were able to send out the different species to different zoos and collections that we were able to get this little guy here. And he's been with us for a while now. We think he's about 15 years old. Wow. Which they can live well into their late teens in captivity.
Oh, so an old man. You're an old man. Well, I certainly appreciate you, Jaden, giving you information about this beautiful, like I say, we don't have a name for him, right?
No, we don't. No,
he doesn't get a name. But you're still awesome anyway.
We think so.
There it is, a close-up look at the California king salamander.
It's a California tiger salamander.
California tiger salamander. See, that's what you're here for, to help keep me in check and in line, because I don't know anything when it comes to animals. Bottom line. So thank you again.
Yes,
thank you, No Name, and we will see you next time for another edition of Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. All right, so I want to thank Jaden again. She's kind of a new, and she was playing, being a very good sport. I was actually very excited to be in this segment here. So welcome, Jaden, to checking out, of course, the Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. This is something we've been doing with Sharon and Turtle Bay in general for 6-7 years now. I myself personally, with her, have been doing this. So this is just something that we wanted to kind of continue to do, and it has been a lot of fun, so be sure to check in each week. We try to have a new one for you. Sometimes may run a rerun. I mean, you can go to weathernorcal.com, click on the Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals segment, and from there you can watch every single one that we've recorded since the beginnings of Weather NorCal. So be sure to check that out. It is a lot of fun, and certainly appreciate everything that they do over there at Turtle Bay. They do a lot of great things, so I highly recommend that you can support them in any way that you can, if at all possible. All right, well, that's going to do it for your Turtle Bay Wonderful World of Animals. Now let's get into our deeper dive forecast and see what's going on. Of course, before we do that, we need to mention our sponsor, and we've got Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. So once again, I want to thank Wind River for their support of Weather NorCal and, of course, Coffee with Krueger. All right, so look at the temperatures out there right now, and this really helps to illustrate where the strongest winds are this morning. As you can see on the north side of the valley here, 50 degrees out at the Redding Airport. But you head down to Chico, it's 37. So you're probably wondering, why is there such a big discrepancy between those two temperatures? Well, we've got the winds blowing in parts of Redding, not so much in parts of Chico. So when you have the calmer winds, and especially in the overnight and early morning hours, that allows the temperature to drop a bit. You head into the higher elevations, though, you're looking at temperatures in the teens and 20s, calmer winds, very cold temperatures, especially this time of the year. This isn't unusual at all. 26 for Mount Shasta City, 38 degrees for Weaverville right now. And look at this, wind sheltered in Eureka, 33 degrees. Not so much wind sheltered in Crescent City at 47 degrees right now. So let's take a look at our weather headlines. Dry and mild this week, breezy and windy at times. Now, the winds are going to be fairly strong, I'd say, over the next 24 to 36 hours. But what we're starting to see here as we progress over the next few days, we're going to start to see the winds begin to slowly relax. But still, very gusty winds are still expected in the forecast, especially for the foothills east of the valley here, at least for the next 24 hours, if not longer. But then when we look at the long range, no big changes. This dry weather pattern we're experiencing, unfortunately, looks like it's going to stick around for a while. I do want to focus some attention, because I know a lot of you are thinking about that and thinking about what's going down into Southern California, where we've seen the highest impact fires in history. So you've got the Eaton fire, which is at about 27% containment, 13% containment with the Palisades fire. You can see also right here, just south of Santa Clarita. So those are the three main fires that we're dealing with here. Now, what you'll notice when we look at this, what this fire tracker looks at is it says, okay, if you see any red, that's saying the last 6 to 12 hours, there has been recent activity in any of these fires. We're not seeing that. In fact, really what we're seeing here is more the yellows. So that's about 3 to 4 days old. So we can look at this and say, all right, the fires are still burning. We know that, but we haven't seen any recent flare-ups, if you will. We haven't seen any recent major activity with these fires. So that is something good that we can take out of this. Now, what's not so good is the fact that we still have high fire danger conditions out there. There is a red flag warning for all of the areas in red here, basically where the fires are, until Wednesday. We also, because one of the reasons why we have that hot red flag warning is because it's dry, number one, but number two, you got gusty winds out there. This right here is a high wind warning. This right here, these lighter shades of blue, those are a wind advisory. Bottom line, gusty winds are in the forecast, and that's going to continue to create problems. Now, the drought is certainly an issue. As you can see here in Southern California, in particular where the fires are, you're in that severe drought conditions. But for us here in Northern California, we're not. In fact, we look at the rain the last 30 days, no deficit, with the exception of places off to the east here in Northern California, like Lassen and Plumas counties, a bit of a deficit there. But where we're really seeing a major deficit, and where we're seeing the most of the fires, right, is where we've seen a major deficit. So you can see these darker shades of red, that's 2 inches plus below where we should be for the last 30 days of rainfall. So we just have not really seen any rain here so far for the season in Southern California. And as a result, we got all that dry tinder, allowing a lot of things to burn. All right, so let's take a look at the forecast winds. Here's today at noon. Notice the winds. Oh man, I mean, they're strong, because when you see these reds, oranges, that's 40 to even upwards of 50 miles per hour. Now, what you'll notice here, it starts to subside a little bit in some areas here, but still, going into your Tuesday, still very strong winds, and that'll probably be the case going into your Wednesday as well. So not much relief from these winds, at least for the next couple of days. Now we look at the fire weather risk, and this particular forecast model looks at 3 different things: temperature, wind and humidity. Now, since the temperatures aren't going to be terribly warm, that's not a major issue. That's taken out of the equation. So as a result, we tend to see the lower categories here as opposed to the extreme because we're taking out the heat as a factor. However, what you'll notice as we go into today, go into tomorrow around midday, see how it lights up in the yellows? That's because of the dry conditions and the winds that are picking up. And you see how we see a little bit of relief overnight, then the winds pick back up as we go into Wednesday afternoon, and once again we have that high fire danger in those areas. Now, meanwhile, back at home, here are the winds we've seen here in the last hour. Look where the strongest winds have been. And of course, many of you who live in these areas have been kind of confirming that here on Coffee with Krueger this morning, saying it's windy where you are. And there you can kind of see that confirmation right there. So around Bernie, looks a little gusty. Some of those mountain ridge tops, even into those valleys, that wind tends to funnel through. Jarbo Gap, one of the notorious places to see some of the strongest winds, gusts last night over 66 miles per hour there. And we've seen gusts 40, even 50 miles per hour in some of those areas. Power outages out in the Paradise area, Magalia, simply because of those strong winds blowing down trees, power outages as a result. But look at the valley. Still looking at some gusty winds in some areas along the valley as well. And as we go into around midday, still breezy, borderline windy for the valley. There you can see east of the valley in those foothills, still some strong winds. Now here's the thing. We are seeing the winds die down a bit as we go into Tuesday. You see how the valley doesn't have very strong winds midday on Tuesday, but look at this for parts of the foothills. You see how we're still seeing some of those winds kind of sticking around a little bit here, but overall, as we go from now through Wednesday, we're going to start to slowly see those winds begin to subside. And by the way, it's mainly the valley and east of the foothills. Elsewhere, the winds aren't that much of a factor. All right, so let's take a look at the satellite image here. You can see some clouds off to our north. Those will kind of be filtering in here later on today, but overall, high pressure is that dominant feature. You see this right here? That's the ridge of high pressure. This, by the way, is an area of low pressure that's been kind of moving through. So interaction with high pressure to our north and west, this low pressure here, that's helping to give us some of those gusty winds that we're seeing here, not to mention down into Southern California. That low pressure system then kind of dives down to the south, hangs out there, and then it starts to kind of move back up northward into Southern California by the end of the week. Now, another thing I'm tracking for the end of the week for us is you'll see right here we have a bit of a disturbance, a bit of an inside slider, if you will. This is going to be kind of moving down to the south and east. Now, as a result, I think we may see our winds elevate a little bit come Friday and this upcoming weekend, but this is still pretty far away from us. Where we're really seeing the stronger winds are kind of off to our east, so over Nevada, Utah, and into Arizona. And unfortunately, maybe even into parts of Southern California. But not as bad for us here in Northern California. But like I said, we're kind of on the outer fringes of that, and that could potentially bring us some stronger winds later this week and into this upcoming weekend. Now, we're talking about these drier conditions here in the long range. This is looking out from January 19th through the 23rd. So really through most of the month here, we're in the drier than normal category. Now, one of the redeeming factors is the fact that it's not above normal with our temperatures. So we're going to keep our temperatures below normal. So despite the added sunshine, we're keeping those temperatures a little bit more pleasant. All right, let's take a look at the lake levels because, that's something we're concerned about when we're seeing the lack of rainfall. How are the lakes looking? How is the snowpack looking? Well, overall, we're still in really good conditions, folks. All right, you can see here, look at the historical average. We're actually well above 100% in most lakes and reservoirs right now. Now, we're not seeing the rise, but we're still seeing the lake levels rising, just kind of more of a trickle than anything else. But bottom line, we're doing okay still. Now, the ski report, we're seeing that summit out at Mount Shasta Ski Park, 59 inches of snow. If you've been out there over the last few days, you're probably noticing that, yes, it's getting a little bit more barren in the snow. There's still plenty of snow up there, don't get me wrong, but we're beginning to see less and less of that snow. And you think about like several weeks ago, we saw all that snow. A lot of that snow has begun to melt, but we're still in pretty good shape over there. There you can see, of course, all the others out of Tahoe, Heavenly, Mammoth, Kirkwood, North Star, and Sierra at Tahoe. Hey, by the way, if you live on the coast here, do note that there is a beach hazard statement that's been issued through 3 p.m. Wednesday. Sneaker waves, that's the problem. That's the main issue here over the next few days. Looking at your wave heights for today and going into tomorrow, we're not seeing much change there. So we don't really have any small craft advisories. Conditions look to be okay for those of you that do need to be on small boats for fishing. There you can see the winds, north at about 5 to 10 knots, waves from the north at 9 feet at 9 seconds, and from the northwest at 3 feet at about 10 seconds. All right, so here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast for today. Temperatures along the Highway 299 corridor in the low to mid 50s for your daytime highs, and pretty much anywhere you go. Some of the warmer spots, as you can see out towards Ruth, about 55, 48 degrees for Peanut, and Wildwood, about 50 degrees. Your North Coast neighborhood forecast, 60 out in Redway as well as Garberville and Miranda. There's about 59 degrees for Redcrest and Honeydew, about 60. 59 out in Ferndale, 60 in Fortuna and Highsville, and 59 degrees for Rio Dell. Notice not a drop of rain, unfortunately, in the forecast here over the next 7 to even possibly 10 days. 60 for a high today in Trinidad, 59 for McKinleyville, and 58 degrees out in Eureka. Sticky up north, about 61 degrees for Smith River, 55 degrees for Gas Key. Orleans, about 58, and 58 degrees for a high today in Oric. Your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, look for a high of about 51 for Syed Valley, 45 in Hornbrook, and Gazelle about 42. Scott Valley, a bit on the chilly side today, only reaching the upper 30s for your daytime highs today, only about 37 for Greenview. Etna, you're only topping out at about 38 degrees today. 39 in Weed, 42 degrees for Mount Shasta City, and Tennant, about 40 degrees. And for your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, temperatures mainly in the upper 30s to low 40s. One of the cooler spots will be Cedarville, with a high of only about 35 degrees. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, look for a high of about 45 in Bernie. Bernie, you're seeing temperatures fairly cool to start off the week, a slight increase, and then another dip by the end of the week and this upcoming weekend. Let's take you to the south with Lake Elminor and Lassen Park. Around the perimeter of the lake, upper 30s for the most part, although Chester, the high of about 41 degrees today. We take you to the south with Paradise, a high of about 56 degrees. Cooler spot will be in Doyle with about 36, and even cooler in Janesville at about 34 degrees. And your Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by our friends at Walgamuth Painting. Your temperature should be around 60 for that daytime high in Corning, as well as Los Molinos, 62 degrees out in Oroville. We take you up north with about 59 degrees for the city of Shasta Lake, 57 in Lakehead, and Whiskeytown, about 56 degrees. All right, let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for the Valley, and Redding in particular. There you can see those temperatures are going to be in the low 60s. Really through Thursday. Now we'll see probably a little dip in the temperatures on Friday, around 59, 58 degrees on Sunday. But there you can see those temperatures dropping a little bit here as we take you into the weekend. So there you have it, folks. I mean, we just could use that rainfall. And of course, I've got Kimberly saying, boy, oh boy, we could certainly use some rain. And I can agree with you on that one. You know, it's just one of those things where I think I remember, I wasn't paying too much attention to the weather, to be honest here, but some friends of mine were saying that the first 4 days that I was gone, it was raining, and then it stopped raining and hasn't rained really ever since. We could use more rain, folks. Are we reaching a level where we need to be totally 100% concerned right now? No. Let's give it another week. Some more forecast model runs, and hopefully we can start to see some changes for the better, where we start to see some storm systems begin to push on through. But unfortunately, we've just got this persistent blocking ridge of high pressure that's preventing any storm from moving in, and as a result, we stay dry. But again, I showed you what it looks like at the lakes. The snowpack is still looking pretty good. We're doing okay rain-wise. We're doing okay for now. But that reserve will only last for so long. So we've got to get more rain in there to kind of get things going. And on top of that, this Mount Shasta Ski Park, it certainly would be nice to see some more snow on there as well. So that is going to do it for us here today, folks. So glad you could join us this morning. It is almost 7:30 on this Monday morning. I hope you have yourselves a great Monday. And in the meantime, we are going to take a look at some cameras out there and see what's going on out there this morning. And there you can see taking a look at Lake Oroville this morning. We're going to leave you with more cameras, and we will wrap up the show here for this Monday. In the meantime, Have yourselves a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning right here on Coffee with Krueger at 7 a.m. Have a good day.